If it wasn't for Jackie Chan, then in all likelihood the Bioneer would not exist. As a child, I was absolutely obsessed with Jackie Chan. I bought all of his DVDs and I just sit there fast forwarding to the fight scenes and watching those. The way he moved and his physicality was incredible to me. He seemed like a real life superhero. Jackie Chan inspired me to start martial arts, karate at the time, along with Shenmue. He also encouraged me to start working out. I'd go on walks with my sister and do stunts and get her to film. In general, he was just a massive part of my childhood. He moved so fluidly, and later on when I watched the documentary Jump London with Sebastian Foucan, one of the inventors of parkour, I was actually really annoyed to see him credit Bruce Lee as his main source of inspiration and give no lip service to Jackie Chan. And this was just one part of his overall package. Jackie Chan embodies everything that this site is about. So what is his secret? What can we learn from Jackie Chan's life and his training? In this video, I'll attempt to break it all down. I'll be referring to several books, including his autobiography, as well as a book by John Little, who also gave us many collections on Bruce Lee, and countless, endless extra materials from DVDs. So Jackie Chan was born in 1954 as Chan Kong Sang, and it wasn't until much later when he was working as a construction worker that he would adopt the nickname Jackie Chan. As is now legend, Jackie Chan's training began very early when he was just 6 years old, and he was inducted into the China Drama Academy as part of the Peking Opera. It's Hollywood legend now that his parents were so poor they offered to sell him at first, and this was one of the only ways they could afford to keep him. Peking Opera is a flamboyant and majestic art form that involves singing, acrobatics, martial arts, and incredibly colourful makeup and costumes. It requires extreme precision and perfection from its artists, and the China Drama Academy had a rather rigorous way of extracting it. When Jackie Chan's father gave him over to the academy, he had to sign a waiver saying that they were allowed to discipline Jackie Chan even to death. It's worth noting at this point that Jackie had been excited to join the academy, having visited it a few times first, and he actually was encouraging his parents to let him join. Of course, age 6, he didn't know what he was letting himself in for. That soon became apparent when he realised just how rigorous and punishing the regime was. He'd be woken up at 5 AM every single morning to participate in a round of really painful stretching, martial arts, acrobatics, tumbling. They used corporal punishment, and students weren't allowed to use the toilet because their master, Jim Ewan, believed that if they needed the toilet they weren't training hard enough, that they should sweat it all out instead. Students slept on the wooden floor, and this is also where they practiced their flips and falls with no nets, no mats. They just had to try and flip, and if they landed on their neck, well, then they'd learn not to do that next time. They'd repeat the same kicks and punches and forms over and over and over ad nauseum until they were absolutely perfect. There are several videos and articles on the web claiming that Jackie Chan isn't a real martial artist, that he doesn't know how to fight, and it's true, Jackie Chan doesn't have any experience in the ring, he probably lacks the mindset to compete in MMA, but that by no means makes him any less of a martial artist. He can deliver a punch or a kick like the very best of them. He could kick most people's asses. He trained this rigorously, 12 hours a day on just 5 hours of sleep from this young age, performing splits for hours at a time. At this age, you're young, you're plastic, you're impressionable. There's no way that any of us now can do anything to achieve the kind of muscle memory that Jackie Chan has. The training is actually similar in many ways to Shaolin monk training, and you can see the video I made on that on this channel. Furthermore, Jackie Chan was actually considered one of the best at this academy. He was particularly good at singing, and he was chosen to be a member of the Seven Little Fortunes, a kind of crack team of their 7 best child performers. 2 more of the 7 Little Fortunes were Yuen Biao and also Sammo Hung, who would go on to become his martial arts acting contemporaries. Jackie Chan doesn't hold any grudges either. In fact, he's very grateful for his time there and says that in many ways, Master Yu was the father of Jackie Chan, the martial artist. That positivity, gratitude and work ethic is largely responsible for how successful he was subsequent to his time at the Peking Opera. It was common at the time for pupils from the China Drama Academy to appear in films, and Jackie Chan was no different. His first appearance was at the age of 8 in a film called Big and Little Wong Tin Bar. And he'd later go on to become a stuntman working regularly on martial arts flicks, including Fist of Fury and Enter the Dragon, opposite Bruce Lee of course. Jackie Chan's first leading roles were under the direction of Lo Wei and can be categorised as Bruce-sploitation. You can check out New Fist of Fury if you want to see Jackie Chan attempting to emulate the style of Bruce Lee. It's not a terrible film, but it was a flop because Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee are worlds apart. I said you can see some of his acrobatics and agility already starting to creep their way in. It wasn't until Jackie Chan was on loan under a 2-picture deal with Seasonal Film Corporation that Jackie was given a little bit more creative control under the direction of the amazing Yuen Woo-ping, also responsible for the fight choreography in The Matrix and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. He's a real legend in the industry. Here you can really see Jackie Chan's more rhythmic fighting style, which is a byproduct of his training, as well as more flamboyant use of props. He started fighting with different objects. You can see him using acrobatics. And what really sets the films apart was the injection of comedy, which was really novel at the time, combined with the kung fu. So the films Snake and the Eagle Shadow and The Drunken Master were huge hits, and from that point onwards, Jackie Chan was given a little bit more creative control over his future vehicles. These films also feature some really rigorous and inventive training scenes, which might have been somewhat inspired by his time at the Peking Opera. I think my granddad was also inspired by this because he got me doing all sorts of similar training, not quite as grueling, but just as inventive and weird. In these films, Jackie Chan hangs upside down from his legs whilst transferring water from one bucket to another. He does handstand press-ups. He does push-ups on his fingers over the top of hot wooden spikes with his master's legs balancing on his back. They're awesome demonstrations of physicality, and again, they really set Jackie apart from lesser imitators. In 1983, Jackie Chan teamed up with Yuen Biao and Sammo Hung from The Seven Little Fortunes to create Project A. Here you can see his influence from the silent comedy era, including Harold Lloyd's Safety Last film in particular, where he actually emulates a stunt frame by frame where he drops from a clock tower. This fusion was completely unique, and as such the films were hugely successful.
And the most important is not the best. You have to be yourself and more creative.
And the next evolution in Jackie Chan's career came with Police Story. This was a more modern, urban film, seeing Jackie Chan as a policeman and involving lots of shattered glass and a fight in a mall and a huge stunt at the end where he slides down a pole using just his bare hands and crashes through multiple electric lights. He also chases down a bus and then hangs from it using an umbrella. And the rest, as they say, is history. It's in these films that we start to see Jackie Chan performing what could only be described as an early form of parkour, before anyone was doing parkour. He has the flow down, and he says how he would drive past objects in the real world and then see opportunities to climb them or fight on them, which is something that today's trackers describe as parkour vision. He wasn't the very first person to do parkour, could be this guy from the 1930s, but he certainly was one of the first people to popularise this kind of movement in an urban environment. The way Jackie Chan moves, like I say, is completely different from anyone else, and I think that's what really sets him apart. Yuen Biao is arguably a better acrobat, he's much lighter. Then you've got people like Tony Jaa who are probably better at flips and tricking, but there's something about watching Jackie Chan fight and flip that's just eminently more watchable, and it's hard to put into words. It's also to do with the way Jackie Chan moves though, and this is where you see his training come in once again. He knows how to add a little flourish to what would otherwise be a boring hurdle or vault. Then there's that sense of timing and rhythm, which is something that even trained martial artists have a very hard time getting down. Some of the moves he performs I've not seen anyone emulate, like when he jumps through tiny little gaps. I don't know how he does it. As an action hero like this, of course Jackie Chan's training has had to evolve. As well as his Peking Opera training, he's also trained in multiple martial arts following that. He has a black belt in Hapkido, and you can see this in his more modern films where he has a slightly more direct style. At one point, Jackie Chan's physical training involved 45-minute runs every single day, but ever since he injured his ankle filming Rumble in the Bronx, he hasn't been able to run like that anymore, so he toned it down with a slightly less rigorous CV regime involving a Stairmaster. He does train with weights as well on top of this. Apparently he bench presses 45 kilograms on either side, so if we take into account the weight of the bar, then that's probably just over 100 kilograms, maybe 110 kilograms. And apparently he'll rep this out with quick repetitions for 20 or 30 reps. He talks about this in his interview with John Little, where he also says that he doesn't train with heavy weights. What the hell? Whether or not this is completely accurate, Jackie Chan says that he and his stunt team, the now famous Jackie Chan stunt team, don't want to train with too heavy weights because they don't want to become massive and bulky, they want to remain light and agile. On top of this, he incorporates lots of martial arts practice, of course, repping out huge sets of punches and kicks, and he does lots of gymnastics, standing on his head and things like that. He says this is great for strength and great for body awareness, and I've extolled the virtues of incorporating gymnastic style training into your workouts before. But Jackie Chan also says that most of his conditioning, most of what he needs, comes from his work, because he's filming on the set every single day. That means he's practicing fight choreography, that means he's filming fight choreography, it means that he's throwing himself off of things. He and his stunt team have a huge repertoire, a kind of alphabet of breakfalls and flips and tumbles, and then when a bad guy gets kicked, they can just pick from this index of falls and find the one that works for them. Break falling would have been an important part of his training, and it's even more important now It's a big part of what makes him so resilient and what's allowed him to continue his career for so long. Interestingly, Jackie Chan says it's actually harder to be the bad guy in a film because that normally involves landing on your face, which requires a lot more skill than being the hero and landing on your feet. So as well as incorporating things like handstands and planche presses, I also recommend doing more tumbling and acrobatic style gymnastics. I've recently incorporated cartwheels into my training and I highly recommend this as a way of improving your proprioception, also building strength in your core and just general agility. Try incorporating it into your training a few days a week and I think you'll see incredible knock-on benefits really quickly. Trust me. Jackie Chan continues doing all of this to this day, to the ripe age of 65. This speaks to another thing that has in common with a lot of the other legends I've talked about in this series. Jackie Chan is fanatically passionate about what he does and it really comes across. Along with his discipline and his optimism, Jackie Chan also has a real zest for life. People who have worked with him or interviewed him talk about how he'll be constantly working, constantly talking about what he does, giving them free gifts, showing them slideshows of his stunts and his philanthropic work without them even asking. The guy speaks 8 languages and when he's not writing, filming, directing or singing, he's probably coming up with ideas for inventions. Apparently he has lots of things he wants to patent. He's running multiple businesses or he's working for a variety of charities. He's used some of his money to buy himself actual secret bases with James Bond style secret rooms because why not? He's like a big kid and in fact his recent book is even called Never Grow Up. And I love that philosophy because why should you grow up when life can be that awesome? When you're Jackie Chan, said one interviewer, anything is possible. He's like Bruce Lee meets Goku meets James Cameron meets Tony Stark. His creativity is even on show in the gadgets he's using in order to improve the impact of his fight scenes. He's created shoes that are padded so he can kick people in the head without hurting them, and wires that pull people's legs out from underneath them to improve their pratfalls. This is why I think that Jackie Chan's use of the roller suit, Buggy Rolly, in the film Chinese Zodiac is perfect. It's such a unique invention, such a strange concept, and Jackie wears it racing down mountainsides. Just shows how he's much more than a martial artist. He's just completely unique. That film also, FYI, is one where he holds a world record for the most number of job roles on a given production, including catering coordination. Wheels on meals, indeed. There truly is no one like Jackie Chan. So I hope you found this video useful and interesting, guys. If you did, then thanks a ton for watching. Check out the link in the description down below where you can see the written post version of this. Got lots more like this on the way. The next time I do one of these Learning from Legends videos, I'd like to look at a thinker type person again. So let me know in the comments down below who you'd like to see. Subscribe if you want to see more like this, and thanks a ton for watching this one. Bye for now.